Today's sermon will be about Gong Thought. Gong Thought should not be learned only by you. All people all over the world must learn it. That is why Gong Thought must always be preached, so that people around the world can learn it and receive redemption. Otherwise, it won't work. So today I will give another sermon about Gong Thought. Listen carefully and learn. You all already possess Gong. You understand Gong, right? You have it, but you must use it properly. If you cannot utilize it, it disappears as a living being. Do you understand? So even if you have Gong Thought, if you cannot use it, it becomes useless. The flesh and bones have an end. The flesh and bones have a beginning and an end. The day you grow old and die is the day it ends. So when you die, it ends, doesn't it? Saying that you go to a good place after death, or that you go somewhere after death. These are all lies. Do you understand? Lies. So this is written well. A dead persimmon tree neither blooms nor bears fruit. That is a famous saying. So when a person dies, it is the end. That's what it means. So if a person wants to live long without dying, they must become Gong Thought. If you look at the current global situation, it is turning toward Gong Thought. Do you know why? News comes out every day. It seems the battery is dead. Let's change the battery. Looking at the news these days, the global situation is turning toward Gong Thought. Why is that? People in this world of wicked minds are corrupt and only try to save themselves. Those who disturb the world with the mind of a living being are all living beings. Do you understand? So for peace to come, such people must be sorted out. Otherwise, everyone will suffer and be harmed. So in our lives, the first thing is Gong nature. Gong always disappears, and if Gong Thought is buried within a person during life, they will live in suffering. How many times have I said this? I have said many times that our country will become the richest, strongest, and number one in the world. Think about it. Am I right or wrong? This is not a lie. Even America will come to our country and plead. Because our country has received blessings, the awakened Maitreya Buddha has come to the land of Korea. Otherwise, why would he come to Korea instead of America or England? Do you understand? Korea is not just a country with a good name, it is a place where people are truly original and fresh human beings. Look at foreigners. What do they look like? Their bodies are rough, with excessive hair. Only their eyes and noses stand out, while the rest is covered with hair. So our country is very fresh and original. If compared to insects, it is like a true bee. Do you understand? That is how pure and clean human beings themselves are. So our country will become the richest and best living in the world. There is no doubt. I already know everything in advance. I know it all. I know how our country will be in the future. If there were no future and no hope, I would have left Korea long ago. I'm serious. Why? Back in my prime, it would have been nothing for me to go abroad and live there or do business there. So why didn't I go? Because our country will control the world in the future. So you can see it yourselves. It is already happening now. Even if I don't say it, you all know. The world must become Gong Thought so that it becomes clear and pure, and we become the leaders in the future. With Korea leading and guiding all people of the world, who must learn everything from Koreans. I have been saying this for the past 10 years. So it is all fitting perfectly. Think about it. Once you attain the awakening of Gong Thought, you must not abandon it. You must never abandon it. That is the path you must take. If you abandon it, where will you go? There is nowhere to go. As I said last month, you must become the seat of Gong Thought at Yonghwa Temple. If you come into this world and no one else learns it, and only I speak of Gong Thought, what is the point? So just wait and see. As time passes, all religions in the world will disappear. They will all disappear. Why? Because people will not believe. If people do not believe, doesn't it disappear? They will all disappear. Look at the countries at war now. Do you know what kind of people they are? They are all people who believe in God. People who believe in God are so terrifying, with fierce eyes. Such frightening people believe in religion and ask God for help. Where is God? Ghosts have nothing to do with humans. If that were true, when parents die and their children are struggling, they would help them day and night so they could live well. But when a person dies, it is the end. The spirits of the dead are of no use at any time. So relying on God does not make sense. Why believe in that? Because people live in such a primitive way. They kill others, wage wars, and commit evil acts. Even if our country becomes the strongest and most powerful nation, we will not kill others or wage war. They will naturally come to us and kneel. They will kneel and say, "You are great," not come to fight or attack. Why? If they fight, they will only die. What's the point? Isn't that right? So the way the world is moving fits perfectly. And at the same time, we have elected a good president. It is killing two birds with one stone. Isn't that right? Am I not correct? If only drunken people who are always intoxicated sit in power, can a country function? It cannot. Those who recommend such people lack judgment. And when someone does well, they should be praised. People should say, "You did well, you were excellent." But those who criticize both good and bad without reason are not human. They are worse than animals. Isn't that so? In a democratic country, everyone can speak, but one must speak with discernment. So these days I keep watching without sleeping. When I look at the world, as I go northward to the far end, the sunlight shines brightly. What does that mean? If you go that way, where do you go? Doesn't it go through North Korea to Russia? That area through China used to always be covered in clouds, but now the clouds are clearing and it is becoming bright. Why is that? Soon, they will come and kneel before President Lee Jae-myung and bow with their hands together. What do you think? It will happen. It will naturally be made that way. Why? No one is instructing it. The world is naturally changing that way. It is wrong to wage war, kill people, and take things by force. They must naturally come and kneel. I know this clearly, and that is why I have given this sermon up to this point. These days you have all seen the Iran war in the news. If you look, our country's weapons are spreading across the world. They are being used widely. The Patriot missiles that the U.S. brought to our country must now be taken back. Why? Because they are old and no longer useful. Likewise, young people work quickly and efficiently, but how can older people be as quick when they are aged? So the weapons our country has now have only given a small taste. Something enormous is coming in the future. Something enormous. Look, when the world becomes Gong Thought, that is Buddha's enlightened light. Buddha's enlightened light is Gong Thought. Then what did I say? From now on, human beings will live by Buddha's enlightened light. They will live by light. These days, to bring in oil, they say you have to pay $3 billion in Iran just to be allowed through, and all kinds of talk is coming out. Before long, oil will not be very necessary either. These days, people farming strawberries and other greenhouse crops are upset, saying they are in trouble because oil prices have gone up. Before long, people growing greenhouse strawberries, pumpkins, cucumbers, and such will be able to farm well without oil and without spending money. What is that? It is the sun's Buddha's enlightened light. Do you understand? It is light. So the most precious thing in the world is Buddha's enlightened light. Do you understand? Since you have already stored Buddha's enlightened light in your bodies, it does not disappear or fall away. Do you understand that light is like that? If it came and went, who would believe such a thing? Once it enters, that is the end. Do you think the sunlight refuses to shine on Iran because it dislikes war, and shines on places without war because it likes them? Anyone can receive light. But what is the use of receiving that light if it cannot be utilized? In the future, as billions of human beings go on living, they will live by the sun's light. What is that? That is exactly what Gong Thought means. If it comes to that and there is no light, and people cannot see the light, then human life in this world comes to an end. So it is truly remarkable what I say fits exactly. Now that Buddha's enlightened light has come into the Sabha world with light, people are using that light for war. What is that light? It is laser beams, laser light. To fire a gun, you have to load bullets, but laser light has no bullets. The bullets just go out as light. When I keep saying light, light, you may not fully understand, but in the old days, to cut iron like this, people used oxygen or electricity. These days they do not use that, they cut it with water. It sounds strange that iron is cut with water, doesn't it? No matter how thick it is, even an enormous mass of iron can be cut with water. Inside that water, there is light. If you send up an airplane high into the sky from here and that light is fired, that light can look over the entire Earth. As for our country's technology, this is only the beginning. In the future, such enormous technology will emerge and dominate the whole world. Wait and see whether I am lying. This is my hope for us. So what did I say? I told you to live a long, long time. That way you will witness those good things, and even your lifespan, the very lifespan you are living, will be governed by Buddha's enlightened light and move into a world without death. Live long. So how wonderful is that? When I say these things, people do not understand well, but those who have studied such matters sit and listen to my sermons day and night. They listen again and again, even to the recordings. That is why there is development. Without that, there is no development. The mind of the old days has limits, so it cannot produce such things. So the mind of a living being only reaches from here to here and cannot go further. That is why even when I give such a good sermon, people do not come and do not understand it. Even if they understand it, they still do not come. Why? Those who do not come are people who will remain only at that level and then leave. Do you understand? If they go further, it becomes a big problem. So let them live only up to that point and leave. Lifespan is what I bring, but if it is well managed, one can live longer. Try raising flowering trees or other trees. If you nurture them with care, using fertilizer and medicine and giving them a good environment, the trees live a very long time. Likewise, people too must live by consuming Gong Thought. Those who do not consume Gong Thought simply remain living beings and then disappear. Do you understand? So if I tell you too much all at once, your brains cannot handle it because too much enters your heads. So I should tell you only an appropriate amount and tell you often. Isn't that right? Shall I tell you everything today? There is a limit in your heads, inside your minds. So even if I tell you everything, not all of it can be entered. That is why I have said it countless times. I said that in the future our country will become the strongest nation in the world, the best nation, a beautiful nation. All the people of the world will come to Korea, bow their heads, kneel, bow again, and ask us to help them greatly from now on. That is how they will come. Does it sound like a lie? There is no doubt. All eras have changed. If I were giving a sermon merely about religion or merely about Buddhism, there would be no need to bring up these things. But religion has already come to an end. I am telling you, the seed of religion has already ended in this world. Those who live believing in that are truly foolish people. People who are utterly ignorant sit there clinging to such things. Those who have a certain level and who look toward the future and move forward listen to my words 100% and agree with them all. So when I look like this, watch carefully. For the past 2 or 3 evenings, when I have looked over Iran, I have seen an enormous number of people buried underground. People buried underground. I can see a tremendous number of people buried underground. Then I looked and the news came out, and it said that when the U.S. fires a shell on our Chunmu or Chungung strikes it once, it can go 100 meters underground. The U.S. has such shells too. It struck, went down 100 meters, and the people living comfortably underground like in a fortress had their hole blocked up. So how could they live? They need oxygen to live. Without oxygen, they die immediately. So that is why they died. That is what I saw and understood. An enormous number are buried right now. That is why Kim Jong-un of North Korea trembles. All the things placed underground are useless. They say our country's weapons can penetrate 100 meters now. But before long they will be able to go 200 meters, 300 meters, even 1 kilometer. Because if you simply increase the firepower, they go deeper. So in the future there will be nowhere to hide, nowhere to take cover. I am planning to tell where in our country safe weapons should be stored. There is such a place, I tell you there is. But if I carelessly blurt it out with my mouth, other people will use it too, so I have to keep it hidden. I should quietly tell only the president. You must not recklessly spill things out with your mouth. So I am telling you, There is nowhere in this world to hide. It is such a frightening world that there is nowhere to hide, nowhere to take shelter. Do you understand? But what is the use of making a fine fortress underground? If the hole is blocked, they all die. Isn't that right? I saw countless corpses underground. So you are fortunate people. When I walk around during your Buddhist meetings and look over you all, when I see you Basils and lay practitioners, I can tell you are truly fortunate people. Do you understand? In the old days, didn't they say in churches that there were people with divine power? There is a passage in the Bible saying there were about 500 people with divine power under Jesus. Then they said that something came out from the body of those people with divine power. If so, why did they all die like that and disappear? So they did know a little something. In that sense, it is ahead of Buddhism. If you interpret it accurately, it is actually ahead of Buddhism. It was ahead, but they only spoke of it in words and did not know the answer to its meaning. But as for divine power, there has to be something in one's body. Only then can divine power be manifested. If there is nothing there, what is the use of speaking only of divine power? And what did they call that? They called it 144,000 cubits. It means that because that light is in a person's body, divine power can be exercised. But by what do they receive it? Do ghosts exercise such divine power? So that is only talking with words. I looked at that exactly and researched it a great deal, and I found there was no basis at all. No basis. If there is no basis, then it is nonsense, isn't it? But a pastor was possessed by a ghost and a spirit had entered him. And when I sat beside him, the pastor could not speak. His mouth was stuck and the words would not come out. Why is that? That is why such ghosts or petty spirits cannot make a great success. Do you understand? That is why I also held a right today, in order to drive them out. At first glance it may seem plausible, but if you look over the long term, it is quickly exposed. If you look over the long term, it gets exposed. So you must carry your lives forward with Gong Thought. To leave without Gong Thought is to disappear meaninglessly as living beings. So while all of you here understand, when people listen to our broadcast and hear my sermon, they cannot grasp it and find it difficult, so I explained it with many comparisons. And what were those comparisons? I gave all kinds of them. I talked about beans, I talked about rice plants, because they could not understand. But even when I explain it so they can understand, if they truly understood, there should be some kind of response, but there is no response at all. That is how people are. So my saying really is a famous saying. Isn't it correct that a dead persimmon tree does not bloom and does not bear fruit? Usually I sit like this late at night until 2 or 3 in the morning. When I sit at 2 or 3 like that, if I think about dying and leaving the Sabha world, I can see it all. What do I see? If I die and leave the Sabha world, if I leave this world, I can clearly see the path I will take after death. So the path of reincarnation by which one can come back into the world is laid out clearly. Whether after death I will enlighten living beings, or since I did that much good while alive, whether after death, I will reincarnate again and live grandly as a wealthy person. I can see all these things. And if one goes by desire, one should come back through reincarnation. Isn't that so? But then when I think of all the people, if I come back, who will stay there and enlighten human beings. Even in the Yonghwa world, the Buddha remains there and enlightens living beings. Do you understand? So later, after you die, try going there once. Ghosts gather among themselves. Ghosts cannot even come near you because they are afraid. Because there is light, they disappear. If you die and are in the Yonghwa world and a ghost appears, it disappears in the blink of an eye. Because Buddha's enlightened light goes out from here. Do you understand? That is your lifeline, your line of life. So that means you can come back through reincarnation as much as you like. Reincarnation, what is the use of simply living long without reincarnating? You should come back. If you come back, you can see the Iran war and see the fighting too. But when you go and come back again, you come back on a good path, not on a poor path. So while living, a person must accomplish all things. One must not try to accomplish them after death. If it is called a grave site of fortune, and a dead person is buried in a warm, auspicious grave site, the one lying there would be comfortable too, wouldn't they? But that means they cannot come back again through reincarnation. Do you understand? So when our ancestors grow old and leave the Sabha world, they are all people who will reincarnate and come back. Then who will come back among yours? Those for whom a Chindo ceremony was held, your ancestors. They also all come back. All of them come back, reincarnating into the Sabha world. But there is no need to come back quickly. What is the use of coming back quickly? Isn't that right? There is no need to come back quickly. They go there, rest comfortably for a long time, and then come back. What is the use of rushing back? Isn't that right? Listen carefully to my words and judge for yourselves. So reincarnation is Gong Thought. Reincarnation itself is Gong Thought. You must receive reincarnation, mustn't you? If you cannot receive reincarnation, then it is the end. Everyone receives reincarnation. Do you understand? You may not understand it well, but when it does not make sense, just think, I receive reincarnation. This is it. I am Gong Thought. That is what you need to know. Gong Thought. Once you become Gong Thought, everything is already in place even if you do not think about such things. So how well must I know? For me to have said so many times that in the future Korea will become the world's strongest power, the richest country, and the most powerful nation. Think about it. Isn't it becoming that way? Or isn't it? 90% is already done. 90% right now. So now it is Chinmu, Hyunmu, things like that. Just wait a little longer. Things dozens of times stronger and more terrifying than what exists now are about to come out one after another. If you just throw one of them, that whole region will simply be finished. The land will turn into sea. Something that terrifying will come out in the future. Do you understand? How can you win a war by firing little guns like toys, saying, oh, there go the rebels? Isn't that right? Even with the Gong Thought you have, if you consume it only this little at a time, in what age will you finish? You have to take it in greatly, all at once. That is why I pour it all in at once through giving commandments of Buddhism. All at once, understand? What is the use of doing it often? Is it some vaccination that you keep taking repeatedly? It should be finished all at once, right? Just live and see whether I am lying. If things do not go well after death, you may come and resent me. Do you understand? But truly, since I will still be alive and you will also still be alive for some time, watch carefully whether my words are right or wrong. In the future Korea will be overturned tremendously. With just a little something, America looks down on Korea and presses it down, forcibly pressing people down. But if you think of many things from the past, America is also a country we should be grateful to. America is a country with which we have had a good and inseparable bond, and one for which we are grateful. America is the country where our people shed bones and bone dust. It is a precious country and a good country. But though it differs by person, when I see people being excessively pressed down with tariffs, I think it goes a bit too far. Still, they are probably doing it to survive too. But neighboring countries should prosper and be strong. When parents have children, those children must succeed and rise in life for the parents to gain strength. If the child grows up weak and cannot even go somewhere and eat properly, how would the parents feel? They would say, that damned worthless child. They would say, that fool can't even earn a meal. What kind of nonsense is that? So if a person is born, they must do great things, great things. So just wait and watch our country. We should take back all those Patriot missiles we brought in and throw them out as scrap metal, that rotten stuff. Our country's hit rate is 96%, but the Patriots is 76%. It hits if it hits, and if it does not, then it does not, that kind of thing. They wielded a lot of power with that thing, but now it cannot exercise power. That display of power is now disappearing completely. Do you understand? So when I say that I know the future and make prophecies beforehand, it means I'm already telling you what will happen in the future. Do you understand? Now in the future our country will be the world's #1 great power. If I score it right now, our country is second in the world. Do you know that? Why is that? After America comes our country. Japan is nothing but a drop in the bucket. They say they could overturn our country cleanly in 30 minutes. But what can't people say with words? If it were me, I would finish it in 5 minutes. Japan, in 5 minutes. Why would it take 30? Isn't that right? Goodness, if our country were to plant just about 3 Chinmu strikes into Tokyo, it would be overturned and finished. So they should not boast so loudly. So in the future our country will be the greatest in the world. I am telling you to watch the news every day. Our country will become a supreme great power. Iran and China are close, and it seems the Iranians imported and used many Chinese shells and such. But when they fire them, they go somewhere completely wrong, and when they fire again, they go somewhere wrong again. What a mess. It is not just doing this, it is really a mess. It is because it is so frustrating that I say it is a mess. Because they keep going to the wrong places. They should hit the target, but instead they keep wandering off elsewhere. So of course it is irritating. They just wasted money for nothing. I am telling you, bigger is not necessarily better, so that was cheap enough. Really now, look at what laser is. Even if it is only the size of a fist, a laser that size is fired from here with firepower multiplied hundreds of millions of times. Even if it is this small, just this small, this can do as it pleases. Some go straight out, some turn back, some spread out in the sky. There are all kinds. Some are shot like a sling. So even if you send countless drones up into the sky, once a spreading, sweeping laser goes out, everything floating in the sky, even flying sparrows, will all be struck down and disappear. So it is useless. Before a person with a brilliant mind, everything must kneel. Do you understand? They must kneel. Didn't I tell you before? I used to buy weaving reeds from England for 800,000 won per kilogram. Because our country did not have people making them. I had no choice but to use even that. But when I looked into it, it turned out to be nothing much. So what kind of thing costs 800,000 won? Far more expensive than gold. I thought, I need to develop this. So I developed it and took it to the person at the reed factory who makes weaving reeds. I told him, try making the reed with this. If you go to Gumi, there are many weaving factories like Chile Industries and ones in Gyeongno. I supplied it to them, and it became #1. They said it was incredible, so they came running after me. Please do it with this. So I provided the raw materials with that. But that material that was bought for 800,000 won per kilogram cost me 300 won, just 300 won. Do you know? The laser light our country is firing into the sky costs almost nothing in money. Do you know? But they say that in America, firing a single artillery shell costs 5.8 billion or 6 billion won. But if we develop and launch laser, then in terms of price it only costs a few thousand won. But I am telling you, the price is not what matters. Do you understand? So if something that cost 800,000 won becomes 300 won, does that make sense? If you are going to help others, you must help them properly. If you help halfway, it is worse than not helping at all. If the thread keeps breaking while weaving cloth and it keeps getting cut, that becomes a huge problem. The moment I see it, I know the hardness of steel. I am a doctor of steel hardness. So the hardness has to be right, so that even if the reed goes back and forth to Japan tens of thousands of times, the thread does not break. If the hardness is wrong and it is too soft, then as the thread moves back and forth, it eats away the metal strips of the reed. If it is too hard, then heat is generated. If it is too hard, if the reed is made of overly hard steel, heat is generated as the reed strips move back and forth. When heat is generated, all the thread melts. So matching that hardness is a special technology. So since I know things that accurately, doing a Chindo ceremony is as easy as eating cold porridge. If I do it, it is cold porridge. So there are the large corporations in our country, right? The rich people, if they want to pass on their wealth generation after generation and live well, they need to come to me and hold a Chindo ceremony for their ancestors. I am serious. They must do it. Otherwise, storms will come when they do business. Storms. Things go well for a while and then do not. Then they go well again and then keep not going well. They should be pushing straight ahead. That means those things too are all influenced by that. So just because they already have a lot of money and are rich, what use is it to say, what is the point of doing it when they are already rich? Even a mountain can be blown away. How do you know when a volcano may erupt and blow a mountain away? Isn't that right? You must not think that way. Compared to America, or big countries like the Soviet Union or China, how big is our country in this world? It is only this much, only the size of a small palm. But I am telling you, being big is not what makes it good. If the land is big, does that make people big too? Isn't that right? If you live in China or Russia, are people bigger just because the land is bigger? Think carefully. So if we live well and become rich, then all the people of the world will come to Korea, kneel, learn, and plead, won't they? But I am telling you, only good things lie ahead for Korea. Just wait and see. Do you perhaps not think that way? Well, if the awakened Maitreya Buddha is here on the land of Korea, would the country fall into chaos and war break out? Think about it. Isn't that right? Whatever is taught would be taught in order to make the nation strong, prosperous, and strong. Whatever is taught would be taught properly in order to make it so. Does Korea look like it is destined to beg for food? Think about it. That does not fit reason. So in any case, you must stay healthy and live a long time. Then in the future many good things will come out. What will come out? Buddha's enlightened light. By Buddha's enlightened light, human lifespan will be extended from now on. Do you understand? 100 years, 200 years, 300 years is basic. 100 years, 200 years, 300 years are basic. So 500 years or 1,000 years. If one is not sick and remains vigorous, then one lives, doesn't one? Just wait and see whether I am lying. I said that earlier, didn't I? I said that even an enormous chunk of steel like this can be cut with water. When cancer patients go to the hospital, they cut it out with scissors or a knife. Do they tear it off with their mouths? But these days they often remove it with water. With water. They remove cancer with water. If they remove it with water, it is clean, because it is removed with water. So it is not removed by a robot, it is removed with water. Inside that water there is laser. So wherever that water passes, it all burns away and disappears. So if such a beautiful world keeps coming in the future, would it not be a pity to die? Live long. Do you know what prayer I make for you every day? I pray every day that you will live long, very long. But if you earn a lot of money and become rich, then what is money? Money is living being. If you keep chasing money, you keep falling into the path of the living being. So in this Sabha world, it is best for you to live simply, healthily, and well. Whatever the case, I should live long in good health. What is 80 years of age? Really? If only my body is healthy, then I am in a position to keep going to 100 years, 200 years. Then after living like that, when I finally leave this world and go to the Yonghwa world, I do not disappear. If I take Buddha's enlightened light, Gong Thought, in my body, how could I disappear? Now, shall I tell you one more thing today? This is artillery, a cannon. For example, Qigong. What would happen if you put Gong Thought into it and made it that way? It would not disappear. It goes and comes back, goes and does its job and comes back again. Other artillery, once it goes, that is just the end. After carrying out its mission, it falls to the ground. But the Gong Thought artillery we make returns once it finishes its mission. It returns and can come as much as it likes. Why would you throw it away? You would not throw it away. So this is not artillery. I am telling you, it is Gong Thought. So a very terrifying killing weapon is released from here. Then what do? You can do it with laser. If there is an impurity where it is needed, then when only the laser light goes there, it disappears instantly within 0.01 seconds. Do you know how terrifying laser is? Laser? Even going from here to America takes only 1 or 2 seconds for laser. Do you know? Then what happens after a little more time? It is not a matter of firing artillery. Even if we place artillery in the sky, we place it on an artificial platform in the sky. It is placed there, and when needed, if a button is pressed here, laser is fired from there and wipes everything out in the world. Such things can be made. Do you understand? So even if living is a little difficult, you should think that simply being born on the land of Korea is truly a blessing. So I do not know how you think, but when I go out into the countryside or places outside, I can see how this beautiful world will change in the future. I can see how it will change like this in the future. I truly can see it all. I can see it clearly. Isn't it strange? Not strange, marvelous, isn't it? That is how it is. When I go in front of my grandmother's grave, there are so many ferns that it is like a fern grave. The ferns covered it over. When ferns first come up they look like this, but once they unfold, they spread out like this. Thousands of them came up and covered it all over. So I said to the ferns, "Hey, why have you come here and made this place like this with ferns?" I told them to disappear completely. Then on the mound there was that flower called honeybee flower, I think. What do you call it? Aranki? Purple. That flower is there, the honeybee flower, and when it blooms the flowers are about this small. I said it would be better if this grew instead. Why should useless ferns come out and cover everything so untidily? Disappear completely. And ask our monk whether I am lying, because he went along with me. So when it was time to clear the grave, of course all the ferns had to be cut away. You cut them, and when you cut them they come up again every day. If only ferns come up, their reproductive power is tremendous. But then I came back. After the next winter passed, when I went there the following year, the ferns had been completely wiped out and not a single one came up. Look, that honeybee flower, the one said to be good for diabetes, had spread out all over. How about that? Isn't it amazing? Beside the grave there are trees, like pine trees and other trees. Then there is a chestnut tree there, and it keeps dropping chestnut burrs, which is not good. Why do those chestnut burrs keep falling beside the grave? So then I grumble. Then even if the chestnut tree is only this big and at the age when it should be thriving and growing strongly, if I grumble at it, that chestnut tree dies right away. It dies on its own, as if thinking, the Buddha has come, and because these chestnut burrs fell here, the Buddha dislikes it, so what is the point of my living? It cannot move somewhere else, and a chestnut tree cannot dig up its own roots and relocate, can it? So it dies on its own. Ask the monk, because he went along and saw it. The same can happen to people as much as you like. But I never told the tree to die, I only grumbled. Many of them die, pine trees, chestnut trees, acorn trees, oak trees. If I grumble at them, they just die right away. When I see that, I realize, trees also have life force, and this too is Gong Thought. How do they understand so well? They understand very well. But when people hear my sermon, they will probably say this, won't they? Oh, what kind of nonsense is that? It's a lie. That's what they would say. Those who laugh and sneer when I say such things are all living beings, aren't they? When they die, they are the kind of people who simply disappear like cigarette smoke. When a person speaks precious words, others should listen carefully and understand them. But instead they say, how could that possibly be? They snort with contempt like that. Such people all disappear when they die. Do you understand? Whatever kind of tree it is, if I grumble at it, it dies. Isn't that amazing? Even I find it amazing. I regretted it, thinking, rather than having it die, I should have just said nothing. If the burrs fell at night, I should have just scraped them away with a rake. I think to myself, a good tree died for nothing. I am a Buddha, and trees too are living beings, so how could I tell a tree to die? I never told it to die. But when I grumbled about the chestnut burrs, the tree died. Amazing, isn't it? That is what happens. So where is that intention directed? As I see it, our country must live well and become rich in the future. Isn't that right? I make this wish day and night, day and night. Our country must become rich and live well. During the Korean War, We shed tears of blood and fought in war. They call it the Japanese occupation period. Back in the Japanese era, during World War II, we suffered endlessly under the Japanese and lived through that past while shedding tears of blood. When I think of that, my blood boils in my throat. When I was young during the Korean War, every night I had to go underground, hide there through the night, and come out in the morning. It was suffocating every day, and cold sitting in there. And what could we do? Light a fire inside a cave. All night long we crouched like dogs and stayed up through the night, wrapped in blankets like this, sitting hunched over like dogs because it was cold. Then when morning came, we would come out. We lived through that kind of world. War is that miserable. So how wonderful it is that we can live in comfort now. So from now on our country should not live such a tragic life, but should live well and become rich. The people of the world should come to us, bow their heads, prostrate themselves, bow, and look up to us with reverence. That is my wish. So if you look carefully and understand, look well. It is not that I am trying only to spread Buddhism globally so that our Buddhism prospers and Gong Thought spreads widely and the whole world comes to us for that. Rather, every day I pray that our country should live well and become rich. The people of the world should look up to our country as if to the heavens. When it comes to the Republic of Korea, the whole world should look up to it in that way. I carry this in my heart every day and make this wish day and night. So last time, when America kept imposing tariffs on us, and because of those tariffs the country was in confusion and distress, I made wishes day and night. Even if it is like this now, just wait a little, you rascals. If 1 month is strong, then that month is strong. But you will not keep living well and becoming rich like that forever. Just wait a little, and then every day I sit down and pray. Ask anyone. It is usually 2 or 3 in the morning for me. If not that, then it goes to 4 or 5 in the morning. What do I sit there doing? I sit firmly and pray. I sit and make wishes with my mind. Our country must live well and become rich. Then suddenly war broke out in Iran. Only when war breaks out can you test whether weapons are good or not. If there is no war, how can you know whether weapons are good or not? Isn't that right? You have to use a tool to know it. Isn't that right? Then all of a sudden war broke out in Iran. Even when the Ukraine war broke out, Korea did not give weapons, even when asked. Why? Because the Soviet side would be in trouble. If we gave them our weapons, Russia would be cut apart. So we did not give them. But then this happened in Iran and America got involved there too. So what happens then? Our country's weapons have to go out in all directions, don't they? Once they went and were tested, it turned out there are weapons like this in the world. The best in the world. The best. I make my wishes come true well with my heart's desire. So even the president, goodness, I watched on TV at night, how it all came out that the president was committing insurrection. And then he did commit insurrection. Maybe he did it after drinking a cup of makgeolli. Who knows? But in such a precious country, for such a person to become president and throw the country into chaos, how difficult it was. People out of their minds, because Yoon Suk Yeol was in prison, sat in front of the prison in the bitter winter cold, wearing plastic sheets over themselves, getting snowed on, crouching there all night and praying to Yoon Suk Yeol. I do not know why they do that. If they did that for their parents, would they not at least become filial children? The country would give them an award and say they are truly admirable people. What do you all think? A nation is something that exists in the first place. One must think about what one can do for the people in order to do good work. If someone does not think of the people and thinks only of himself, then what should such a person be called? So listen well to what I say, because it is correct. At least one president was chosen well. Do you understand? Because this is a broadcast, I do not say everything, but I am the #1 contributor. Do you understand? I simply do not say that I am the #1 contributor to choosing the president. The person who makes the country prosper and lets the people live in comfort is the capable person and the wise person. So now the country is gradually stabilizing, and you too from now on should stay healthy, earn a lot of money, and become rich. But being rich is not necessarily good. If you become rich and have a lot of money, Then instead of going to the temple today, you will say, let's go out and have fun. Oh, they say there are lots of hydrangeas blooming in Guri and it is beautiful there. Then you would go off on a trip, wouldn't you? But I am telling you, that is already determined. You live only this way and then go. Next time, when you reincarnate and come again to the Sabha world, you will come back as a great rich person. You are not leaving something deposited behind, are you? You go the way you wish to go. Because I am Gong Thought, I go the way I want and the way I intend to go. That is what I mean. Do you understand? Then what? Should a sinful or hateful person be unable to receive even the sun's light? Isn't that right? No, that is not so. So when I look over things like this, even the roots of trees contain Gong Thought. Why? Because Gong Thought means always protecting one's life form and carrying it on. Do you understand? So that tree can put out shoots as much as it likes and continue its life as much as it likes. And the same is true of people. If a person dies and I perform a Chindo ceremony so that person is in the Yonghwa world, then that is the same as coming back again through reincarnation from there, isn't it? I am telling you, it is the same. But trees cannot receive that because there is no awakened Buddha for them. That is something the tree itself would have to do. But I am not a tree. That is why there are living beings and there are awakened Buddhas. Do you understand? So as I live in this world and look around like this, I'm getting older too. And yet I do not really think much about age. Why? A person must have a goal. A goal. Because I have a goal. When you look at things, good phone calls do not come very often. It is always calls saying someone is dying from pain, or that something hurts so badly. Those are the kinds of calls that keep coming. I do not know why that is. Instead of coming in person, they just keep calling and saying they are dying from pain, that something hurts terribly. They say they are possessed by ghosts, and all kinds of calls come in. Really, imagine the monk's phone ringing at 1 or 2 in the middle of the night. If I do not answer right away, it rings again and again. When I answer and such a call comes, of course I get startled. Isn't that so? From the point of view of the person receiving the call, it is not a small thing. So I get startled. What can I do? If I hear such things, do you think I can just sit still? They say they are in such pain they could die. But even then, if I give rise to a good mind, they become at ease and sleep well again. Amazing, isn't it? Why is that? It is because Buddha's enlightened light goes to them. Because the light goes. Do you know how precious Buddha's enlightened light is? Even grain, once harvested, if you leave it without receiving the sun's light, it rots. Do you think it does not rot? It rots. Everything rots. So one must receive Buddha's enlightened light. That is why I say Buddha's enlightened light is precious. When I go to the countryside and look, I see all things in the world. I can see them all clearly. I can see the fate of trees too. The fate of the pine tree. The fate of the persimmon tree. All of it. Now, the persimmon tree at least gives people delicious ripe persimmons. But while some other trees give good things to human beings, many do not. Isn't that right? The pine nut tree is good too, since it at least gives pine nuts. Isn't that so? So there are many trees that come to serve human needs. And people may think of grass as just grass, but all kinds of medicinal herbs are in it. Do you understand? So someone caught a pheasant from the mountains and broke its leg. If a pheasant's leg is broken, how can it go anywhere? It cannot even walk on one foot properly. So they observed what kind of behavior the pheasant would show after its leg had been broken. A pheasant too is a living life form trying to live. So once its leg is broken, what can it do? It keeps living, but in a terribly uncomfortable way. So when a person watched that pheasant, do you know the prickly ash tree? The prickly ash tree from the mountain. It pecked at the resin of the prickly ash tree with its beak and applied it to its broken leg. Prickly ash tree resin, if you touch it, it is sticky. So by continuing to apply that resin, the pheasant's leg healed and became normal again. That is what was discovered. So because resin is good for broken legs and such, in the old days people often applied resin. If something is broken, you have to set it back into place properly. don't you? So you apply lots of resin there, place a flat board against it, wrap it tightly with tape, and then it sticks firmly. Because even with a tree, if you put a broken part back together, resin comes out and causes it to adhere. With people too, if you look, there is sap-like matter from the bone and it fuses back together. So in human life, even the grasses in the field all become medicine for people like that. From birth until death, there are very few people who live without ever being sick at all. Everyone has had pain somewhere at least once, who dies without ever having been sick. So the world is not something I live in alone. Do you understand? The medicine you take, do you think it is made from rice? It is not made from rice, it is all made from grasses in the fields. Grasses. So human beings live by coexisting with one another. Yes, so just because something is an insect does not mean it harms people. You all know bees, don't you? When you look at bees, how good they are for people. Because they bring honey. When acacia flowers bloom, you cannot suck honey from them with your mouth. Try it this summer. When acacia flowers bloom, pick one and suck on it with your mouth to see if honey comes out. You cannot suck the honey out with your mouth. But when a bee puts its mouth there and sucks, the honey is drawn in. It draws it up fully, like through a straw. So it is amazing. But then when the bee gathers the honey, people come and take it away. But in truth it is not free. Why? Because people also raise bees diligently. Since they raise them, it means let us share some of it. Not that they have taken it all away. That is what I mean. Among all things in the world, nothing is lived by human beings alone. Everything lives by coexisting and living together like that. Isn't that right? That is how it is. So although it may be comfortable to sit alone at home, coming to Yonghwa Temple on Sunday and listening to the sermon is also living in coexistence with me. Isn't that so? So didn't you learn many good things today? Wait and see. Earlier I said a few things I should not have said, but listen carefully to the news, because that is how it will become in the future. I said words I should not have said, words that are too precious, but that is how things will become in the future. It is not only our country that can do such things, other places can do them too. I really should stop saying such things now, but I am telling you, it will all become that way. Today I speak only of what will happen. I do not speak of what will not happen. I speak only of what will surely happen. That is because the logic of the world is all arranged that way. So look here. Do you think there are really people in temples or churches? Shall I look from here and see how many people are at Jajasa today? If I look with clairvoyance, I know it all. About 20 people are sitting there, and even then, about 10 of them are homeless people sitting under the trees nearby, and there are only about 10 actual faithful. At this very time, if I look, I can see it all clearly. There are no people, I am telling you. Go to the temples around here and see whether there are people. If you go, there are even fewer people than you all here. There are none. People are automatically changing more and more into Gong Thought like that. Isn't that right? They are changing. They are changing. So the path I am to take is one I go on my own. It is not a matter of someone taking me or bringing me. Why would I sit waiting, not knowing when I will die? Isn't that right? Do you know how high my spiritual power is? The husband of that Bosal sitting back there died, and he could not even go into the house. He circled around outside like a wild dog, because whenever she went into the house, he would frighten her. The old man would frighten her, thinking, leaving behind my pretty wife and dying. What a rotten thing. After I die, what man will take my wife? Who will steal her away? So this dead ghost worried about that every day and could not leave, because he had to guard his wife. So he stayed fixed in the house and would not go, because he kept terrifying her. She could not go into the house and ended up sleeping outside. Ask whether this is a lie. Who could stop that? That ghost cannot be stopped. So when I held the Chindo ceremony, I told him not to do that, but to go peacefully to the Yonghwa world. Stay there in comfort, and not worry, because his wife would live peacefully and not stray. So he should go in peace and stay well there. Then he closed his eyes fully, became absorbed, and departed straight for the Yonghwa world. Ask about the Yonghwa world. From that very evening, When she went home, it was so peaceful it was astonishing. How well I performed Chindo ceremonies. Isn't that so? Asked that pretty Bosal sitting back there. Even if she has grown old, she is still pretty, even if her face is aged. So the old man could not believe it. Ah, that rotten wife of mine. I should be protecting her, but I have died and cannot protect her. So what do I do? What if someone takes her away? That dead man worried about it constantly. So he just stayed inside the house and could not go on. Does it sound like a lie? So if a husband is going to die first, he should die after letting go of his attachment. If he dies without letting go of his attachment, then he cannot even leave and remains like that. It was only because I handled it and sent him off properly, otherwise what would she have done? She could not even enter the house. Someone I know also could not go into the house and ended up selling it forever. When going into the apartment in the evening and opening the door, it would say, "Why are you only coming now?" He was sitting on the sofa, they said. Just think how chilling that must have been. They said he fainted and even wet his clothes with fresh urine. Then he ran outside in panic, banging his head into things and crashing into the ground by the cliff. Think how terrifying that must have been. The dead man was sitting on the sofa, and when his son came in, he said, "Hey, why are you only coming now? I'm hungry, so come in quickly, eat, and rest." The child was so shocked that he was struck speechless. He was so startled that he could not even speak. Do you understand? So if they had come to me and held a Chindo ceremony, I would have taken care of it. But this foolish person likes shamans. Because he likes shamans, he went to a shaman and held a Chindo ceremony. Then he also went over there to Surazan, to a temple, and held another Chindo ceremony. They said he held Chindo ceremonies several times, and still it did not work. Since it did not work, he never went back into the house again and sold the apartment cheaply. He could not go in because he was afraid. Why? Because he was sitting on the sofa. Would you go in? You cannot go in. It is out of the question. So he sold it cheaply. He had to sell it cheaply. What else could he do? So he lived in a motel for 49 days. In a motel for 49 days. But even after holding a Chindo ceremony for the house, he was still too scared and creeped out to go back. So he sold it. As for the Chindo ceremony, this is not bragging, but no one in the world can do it except me. Do you understand? Only I can do the Chindo ceremony. People these days know nothing, and they keep holding Chindo ceremonies and saying this and that. It would be better to take that money to a nursing home and buy rice cakes or fruit for the poor elderly there. It is better to do a good deed. What is the use of holding one like that? The dead are not guided onward. So when I say a word at a Chindo ceremony, the guiding onward happens. Yet temples that know nothing keep saying, Chindo ceremony, Chindo ceremony. On this earth, no one but me can perform a Chindo ceremony. This is not bragging. Is it interesting? It must be interesting. Your voices sound loud. It is interesting, right? When I say that Korea will become rich, live well, and become the #1 nation in the world, doesn't your hope swell a little? It's true. From now on, President Lee Jae-myung of our country will probably be treated more highly by the people of the world than by the people of our own country. It's true. The whole landscape has changed. Because of that blasted Iran war, because of that blasted war, the whole landscape has changed. Do you know? There is nowhere in the world to hide. From now on, because of Korea, there will be nowhere to hide anywhere. You cannot hide. Then suppose you leave the earth and go hide on the moon. Even if you hide on the moon, it won't work. It won't. If our country burns things with lasers, it can burn away even the people hiding on the moon. So from now on there is nowhere to hide. How would anyone hide? So it is better not to wage war at all and simply live as one is and die. If you foolishly try to take what belongs to others, then if things go wrong, everyone loses their lives. Do you understand? When war breaks out, killing happens first, and people die, don't they? Who is there that does not die when war breaks out? They all die. Why do such a deadly thing? It is better not to do it. So I am a person who prays every day that only good things will come and that good flowers will bloom in a good Republic of Korea. Raise your hands if any of you have hardships in life. There are not many great hardships, right? But human greed has no limit and no end. Greed. As for me, I only eat rice twice a day. I eat twice, but what is the use of eating a lot? It only makes your stomach full and swollen. So once I let go of greed, there is no worry in the world. Because I let go of greed. Why? Let good things happen for others. May our faithful stay healthy and may only good things happen to them from now on. Do not be sick, but live long in health. Because I always pray like this and give rise only to these good thoughts. There is no worry in the world. I am telling you, there is no worry. Isn't that right? Whether you eat rice or porridge, what does it matter? Even if you eat porridge, it does not matter, because the mind should be at ease. So now my digestion is a bit weak, and if I eat something slightly wrong, my stomach hurts. I also eat porridge often. People cook porridge for me often. And sometimes I buy it too. But if you are not seriously ill, that is happiness. Do you understand? You too should be healthy and happy. And if you ever have something you are truly curious about, tell me anytime in consultation. I will teach you. And because the world keeps changing day by day, it is frightening. A few days ago it was bright and sunny like this, and a few days later that side turns cold and this side becomes warmer. That is how the world is. So life in this world cannot be known for sure, and I must live by emptying my mind. If I live by filling my mind with greed, good things will never happen. So one must always be kind, and a person must be kind. A person must not hold a wicked and bad mind. That means one must always be kind. Do you understand? And stay healthy. It seems I am a little tired today. When the throat keeps tightening like this, it means one is tired. But earlier, when I was holding the right, it was really difficult. Tears were coming out, and my chest felt tight. I looked and thought, why are so many of these useless ghosts sitting here? It seems it must have been an empty house at first. Right? I'm telling you, empty houses swarm with ghosts. Ghosts were once people too, so would it be better for them to go around getting rained on, or better not to be rained on? When a person dies and there is an empty house full of cobwebs, and they go there and spend the night sitting there, just think how miserable a ghost's lot is. Even that is fortunate. Those who committed many sins are extinguished when they die. They are extinguished, so they cannot even act as ghosts anymore, they are gone. So because the house was left empty like that, it caused a lot of trouble. Earlier while I was making wishes, tears kept coming out. So I did this. That torn up fellow, the one with the eyebrows like this, I stationed that one earlier. You know the Bosal named Hanguk, right? She too says she fixed up some old house by the seaside in Jindo or somewhere and lives there. Because it had been made into an empty house, she could not sleep well and was frightened. If it laughs, it keeps laughing like that. How could anyone stay there like that? So I also held the right properly here for her. And when I did, there was also this sort of fellow. Its beard comes all the way up to here. It was torn wide open like a fool. This one too had eyebrows rising up like this. I stationed a fellow like him Kokjong there. Always. So you have to station them. You have to set them there. Otherwise the ghosts come there and leer. You have to set them there so they won't leer. They leer because they have been there. No, there are many guardian gods. There are hundreds of guardian gods protecting the grounds of Yonghwa temple like this. Before, there were about 3,000 guardian gods. Because of these impure elements, those monks came here and turned gangsters loose, and gangsters surrounded this place. So at night I would quietly come here wearing plain clothes. With a stick, a club in hand, I walked around quietly, and whenever night came, I came out for exercise. I kept circling this place. If they came here and loitered in front of the gate, I was going to smash them. But those scoundrels always stayed that way and would not come in here. So we came this far while suffering such persecution. The monk was cursed day and night, always being called filthy names. That is the level of those monks. How can they call a monk such names? They are scoundrels who deserve to be beaten to death. So we came this far while suffering such persecution. But now it is history that has already passed. In the old days, you all know this, I used a lot of bodyguards here. On Sundays, about 20 to 30 every week. Bodyguards are expensive if you bring them into use. For one, they usually ask for at least 200,000 or 300,000 won. So if you use 20 or 30 of them, how much money is that? For about a whole year. What do you mean a year? I used them for a long time. That is how I drove religion away. I do not back down, no matter what in the world happens. If they shoot with guns, then let them shoot, but I do not back down. Do you understand? If the moment comes, I would shoot with a gun, I would sweep them out at once, that sort of thing. My temperament is not one that backs down. Isn't that right? If we are going to make the Republic of Korea bloom, spread its name throughout the whole world, and make the name of Korea shine, then shouldn't we endure to the end and win? It's true. If they try to kill me, I would sweep them all away with guns. I would never retreat, no matter what in the world happens. Does it seem like my temperament would retreat? Don't talk nonsense. I would sweep them all away with guns. Now that we have endured like this up to now, flowers are blooming in the world. And from America comes the word, you should take charge of defending this Western Sea area. Why? Because we are so strong. They saw it with their own eyes. I'm telling you, this is not the real issue. If we reveal everything, it would be a big problem. So a lot has been hidden. You must not show everything. So you feel good today, right? Now our monk keeps telling me to live a bit longer. But really, how long should I live? But in Anyang, if I face people around my age, there is not one person who can beat me. Is there anyone who could beat me? Even in Shriam wrestling, I beat them all. And if I fought in boxing, I would beat them all too. I am an 8th degree Dansu practitioner. Do you know what happens if I strike with this? This is not bragging. If I strike once with this, in less than a second the breath is knocked right out. Haven't you seen me cracking walnuts? If I just grab one and squeeze, it cracks with a crunching sound. The walnut grinding and cracking under force. Isn't it fun? Pre-death Yesuji, Yonggi Du, Anyang Si, Anyang Dong 389-9, Surazin Yonghwa. Temple, Yonghwa Maitreya Buddha, thank you for the vow for long life and good health and long lifespan. Pre-death Yesuji, Yonggi Du, Anyang Si, Anyang Dong 389-9, Surazin Yonghwa Temple, Yonghwa Maitreya Buddha, I make a vow for long lifespan and long life. Pre-death Yesuji, Yonggi Du, Anyang Si, Anyang Dong 389-9, Surazin Yonghwa Temple, Yonghwa Maitreya Buddha, I make a vow for long life and good health and long lifespan. May all the faithful who came to Yonghwa Temple today be healthy, live long in good health, prosper in their work, be safe wherever they go, and have only good things happen. May our Yonghwa Temple's head monk Hugh be healthy, though he suffers and cannot sleep day and night while spreading Buddhism. I hope he stays healthy and lives long in good health until the age of 530. And our monk Pyongzan too should stay healthy and live to about 500, right? Stay healthy, and all of you, be healthy today. the law of all things in the universe, the Gong Thought. The teachings of Yonghwa Maitreya Buddha, the founder of the Gong Thought. An enlightened Buddha emits light from his body and saves living beings with Buddha's enlightened light. The light of the sun that creates all things is Buddha's enlightened light. And only the Buddha's enlightened light of an enlightened Buddha can make humans reincarnate. The Buddha's enlightened light of the living Buddha. That is precisely the Gong Thought. Receiving Shugi means embracing Buddha's enlightened light, that is, the Gong Thought, within my body. After death, there is no samsara, only everything becomes extinct. If you receive Shugi with the Buddha's enlightened light of an enlightened Buddha, you will have eyes that can see the Yonghwa world even after death. Chendo and Shugi are only possible through the Buddha's enlightened light of an enlightened Buddha. Don't receive Chendo after death. Receive Shugi while you are alive. Believe and follow only what you can see, hear, and confirm. The dead cannot arise interdependently, only the living can arise interdependently. Just as gold cannot be made artificially, a Buddha comes as a Buddha from the beginning. And a living being cannot become a Buddha through prayer or Zen meditation. However, those who have received Shugi can receive Buddha's enlightened light and become living Buddhas. All these Gong Thought were created by Yonghwa Maitreya Buddha. Like the sky and the earth, the sea and the mountains, the source of life and creation, the limitless and eternal truth, the Gong Thought. See, hear, and meet Yonghwa Maitreya Buddha's Gong Thought directly every Sunday at Yonghwa Temple in Surazan Mountain, Anyang.